Welcome to the show. I'm Dom Dumas, and I'm in Bangkok. I'm also the official podcaster of the SHL. John Schachnovsky of the Sport Corner Titanium and the president of the SHL. Episode 46. Welcome to the show, John.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
It's been my pleasure. I've been looking forward to this since you and I have started talking and just me getting involved in the SHL. But before we get too far into that, where are you from?
I'm born and raised in the Washington, D.C. area in the U.S. And I spent some time went to college in New York State, upstate New York. Okay. Prior to my Bangkok time, I was in San Francisco. Spent time in Arizona. I've been around mostly in different places in the U.S.
Okay. What's made you move around the U.S.?
It depends. College was New York, and then after that, mostly work. I got out of college and went to work for the U.S. Border Patrol, which was in Arizona, working on the Mexican-U.S. border.
I've dealt with some of the ones on the Canadian border.
Yes, we were there. We were there as well. I was in the southern border. Usually, the senior members got to go on the northern border back then. That was your retirement gig. So then after that, I applied for and was happy to get kind of my dream job, was as being an FBI agent. And then from there, after going to the academy in Quantico, Virginia, I was in first office sent to San Francisco. So that's where I was for about 8 years-ish before I came to Bangkok with the FBI.
Okay. Now, if you don't want to talk about it, I totally understand. It's totally I can understand it's the job, but... Sure. All I know about the FBI really is like movies.
Yeah.
How does somebody get into something like that?
For me, my dad was in the government. He worked for a different agency, but had always told me, I was playing hockey growing up and I was playing sports, and I knew I didn't want to sit behind a desk. Mm-hmm. So law enforcement in general became a goal of mine. He had told me, my goal was to be in the NHL, of course, or whatever. But when I realized that I was never going to be taller than 5'7",
that's not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but for a guy from Washington D.C., 5'7", it changed a little bit. So he mentioned to me law enforcement, not behind a desk all day. It's an active job. So I looked at local police agencies in Washington D.C., Baltimore area, and remember in college I visited with the New York State Police because that's where the local police agency was where I went to school, and then my dad gave me advice to go into federal U.S. law enforcement, and the retirement's good and everything. So at the time, I didn't think I knew FBI from the movies also, so I applied for whoever was hiring at the time. It was this agency that Border Patrol. I didn't even know about the Border Patrol much at all, but my dad gave me the advice. It was great advice, and I went to work there. And then while I was down there, remember when I was down there, I met with, at the time, the Attorney General. Her name was Janet Reno, and she actually passed away recently. But she was down there visiting our Border Patrol station. And an FBI agent, the FBI agents do their protection of the Attorney General. And after she visited our station, I was talking to one of the protection detail, and he said, "Hey, got a college degree, you've been doing this for a while, you should apply to the FBI." And I remember thinking, can't be an FBI agent. You're like in the TV. So he said, "No, you're 3 years of work experience. You've been in law enforcement." So I applied, and obviously the rest is history. But it took me a while. It takes a couple years to get hired, but and then I got into it and love it. I mean, it's obviously it's a great job. Everyone knows about it from the movies. It's not the same as the movies, but it's exciting. It's good work, and it got me here. And my time in San Francisco was great, and I've met phenomenal people. And
okay, so you mentioned that you played hockey. Is that the only sport you've played?
No, I grew up playing soccer. Actually, I started playing soccer first. I started playing soccer at the age of 4. Hockey was 5. Okay. But I started playing soccer first. I was from Maryland, Columbia, Maryland, which is big soccer area growing up. And I played soccer all through high school. Looking back, I took to hockey at 5, and I loved it much more than soccer at a young age. But in the D.C. area, I think the U.S., soccer is a fall sport in school, and hockey is a winter sport. And soccer was good for me because it got me in shape for hockey. Okay. So come hockey season starting, all the guys would get there, and the guys who didn't play a fall sport were out of shape, and I was in shape.
I played football.
Okay.
But the end of football clashed with the start of hockey, so I ended up giving up football.
Okay. I had a couple of guys, actually, I was a lot younger, who played football also, and I remember I was in good shape, and they were ready to hit. Yeah. So their hitting was they were in mid-season hitting form, and I was in mid-season wind form. When season. That's right. That's funny. That's true.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that you got it was soccer first, because my stepbrother played soccer was like phenomenal, was a wrestler, went to state. And when we met each other, and me raving about ice hockey convinced him to stop wrestling and playing soccer and decided to play hockey. And to be totally honest, he is one of the best goaltenders I had ever seen. He was phenomenal.
Hockey's a good sport. I mean, it's like I kept doing soccer because my folks were, you're playing a sport all 3 seasons. So that my 3rd season, spring, was always my tough one. I did baseball for a while growing up. It was just easy. I went to high school and I started playing baseball. So I played baseball only because the coach of hockey was also the baseball coach.
Oh, okay.
I had to hang out with him more. It was really, I didn't. My spring sport was always play lacrosse. I like lacrosse. Baltimore's a big lacrosse city.
Yeah.
So
Well, the East Coast is
East Coast, yeah. So played a
lacrosse.
lot of. And I wasn't going to set the world on fire. There were kids playing lacrosse in my high school who were born coming out of the womb with a stick in their hand.
Yeah.
So they were good. So, but for me, it was mostly soccer and hockey, and really hockey most of my life. Hockey was everything for me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I was very fortunate. By the time I was in junior high, we started having spring hockey, and then by the end of my junior high years, like 9th grade, they started also having fall hockey. And then growing up around hockey myself, my dad playing hockey almost all year round, I got to play hockey with a lot of those guys that he played hockey with. And I got to meet some amazing people playing hockey.
That's awesome. That's cool. Yeah, I didn't get, we in DC, it was a winter sport. My I was in a high school team and a travel team. The travel team started earlier than the high school team, ended later, but still wasn't much into spring. You were done. Okay,
so you had a travel team and a high school?
Yeah, I played for I played in the first ever Maryland Scholastic Hockey League. We didn't have one before.
Okay.
Hockey's wasn't a huge sport in the DC area. Now it's getting much, much bigger. There's a huge leagues, and there are guys that are going to Division I colleges and junior hockey. When I was there, it was really small. There was a handful of high schools that had teams. My travel team, Howard County travel team, the travel league was big. It was twice a week practice, games on weekends. My team, we really wanted competition. We played in 2 different leagues. My folks spent all winter driving up to Philadelphia and Hershey, Pennsylvania, and we traveled a lot to do a lot of travel games. And then the high school league, my senior year, I think, was the first year there was a true full-fledged Maryland Scholastic Hockey League. But the funny part was all the high school teams, the best players in every team were all the guys from my team. So
of course,
from my travel team.
Yeah.
So you'd go and I'd play, okay, we're playing at this high school today, and it was me versus my buddy. We were the 2 best guys on the team.
Yeah.
So it was always fun, that rivalry.
Yeah.
But I do look back in this day and can always say that my team, Boys Latin, won the first ever Maryland Scholastic Hockey Championship, and that's something that to this day, I'm still proud about that.
Awesome. It is weird because like my nephew is big into hockey. He's from New York, and they have these different, like, under 16, they have under 18. Also, the high school has a team, and he plays or has played for a lot of these at the same time. And for me, that's weird because we didn't have that. We had mites, mites, squirts, peewees, bantams, midgets.
Yep, you got it right. That's
junior
all.
varsity. But at high school, once you got onto the JV or the varsity team, you traveled. They were the traveling teams. There wasn't, unless you got into what they called juniors, we didn't have any of that. Do you know what I mean? So
Minnesota hockey's the high school was much bigger. I haven't been back in a long time. I think the Maryland Scholastic League, I think it's much bigger. You have practices much more. Then it was just such a fledgling thing having hockey. Really wasn't even. It was kind of sanctioned by the state athletic leagues, but it was just the beginning.
Yeah, it's just weird because like hearing him talk about it, and then USA Hockey was a big thing because it helped make hockey available across the country, whereas before it was like you had MAHA, Minnesota Amateur Hockey Association, and then you had the Wisconsin Amateur Hockey Association. They really didn't get along very well. So it was like,
interesting.
Yeah, it was kind of different because I played in both organizations. I grew up in Minnesota, and then my high school years I was in Wisconsin. I moved to Hudson, but that was the extent of my high school. My hockey, I stopped at high school. So.
Okay.
But I had issues with my coaches. He wanted aggressive offensive players, and I was an aggressive defensive player. And we just didn't see eye to eye.
Personalities.
Yeah.
There it is.
So, but I was also spoiled. I mean, I had my dad for a coach for a lot of years, and he was a phenomenal coach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He also worked me harder than any other coach I ever played for, but that was that.
That was your career.
Yeah. And, well, I kind of felt... I mean, I've talked about this before. I talk about it. I'm very open about, like, my hockey career. It's like... I knew once I got to the high school level, I'd kind of hit my top, You know, I knew there was nobody knocking on my door going, hey, come play college hockey for us. I did have one school from Sioux Falls, was it Sioux Falls? Anyway, South Dakota, but it was a very, very small school, and it was like, I had to make a choice. I was getting ready to join the Navy. I also wanted to get into professional wrestling, and it was like, is this what I want to do?
Right.
You know, so, and I decided I wasn't going to play anymore. I mean, but I grew up around guys like watching Phil Verkota and the Broughtons, and it's like, yeah, I'm nowhere near that level, so.
Yeah.
But, and my stepbrother and my dad, who was great, you know, it's like, yeah, I'm just a defenseman that knows how to hit guys.
Downside of Minnesota, man, the best in the country were there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, well, you said the FBI brought you to Thailand. Yeah. Was this something you volunteered for, or was it?
Yeah, the FBI, we have about, I'm going to get this wrong, of course, 14,000-ish agents. Only a few hundred overseas. It's not one of the agencies where you're required to go overseas. Everybody, even in the war zones, it's 100% by choice. So back in 2002-ish, my wife and I came here on vacation and loved it. And we knew that my agency was here, and we decided to try and get here. So spoke to some senior agents, and the guy who was actually here at the time, and asked him, what do I need to do to get here? And, you know, won't bore you with that, but kind of just followed his path on what I needed to do, and I applied for the job. I took some Thai language classes on my own in the Bay Area and San Francisco, and that helped me with my language, and that helped me be more competitive, and we got it. So came here in 2008 for the first time. I actually came here in 2006 for a couple months, kind of try out, went well, and then in 2008 came here for my first tour. I was here from 2008 to 2012, and then went back to the U.S. for a year, back to Washington, D.C. to our headquarters. And it was very lucky, we wanted to come back to then. I was the assistant, I'm called a legal attaché, the assistant legal attaché. And then after a year back in the U.S., the legal attaché, the boss job opened up, and I got that, which was very, very lucky. I was able to be competitive, and I was in the unit back at our headquarters that covers this region, so I was lucky enough to slide back in. And now we've been here, this second tour, been here for 3 years already, and I'll be here until at least 2019, hopefully longer.
Oh, awesome, awesome. I mean, I've been here since 2005, and I've been very fortunate with how I got here, but I've talked all about that. So how did you find out about hockey in Thailand? I mean, did you know when you were here on your first tour, did you know about it?
No, I think that the 2-month tryout period that I was here for the FBI, I'm pretty sure I Googled it and saw that it was here. I don't remember if I might have gone out to the old Samrong rink out at Imperial Samrong out in Bang Na area. I might have gone to watch one of their practices or scrimmages. I don't think I went out there and played. I think I spoke to a few guys, and then when I came out here in 2008, I knew it was here. I think I emailed the Godfather of hockey, Scotty Murray, who if you haven't had him on yet, I'm sure you will.
Not yet. I've been trying.
You'll get him on here, but he won't leave. So
that's okay. I don't mind.
I'm just kidding. No, but he is the guy. I mean, he's the Godfather here, and I spoke to him, and when I came out the second time, I brought my gear. I knew I was going to play based on emails and phone calls with him and discussions, and then went out to the Samrong rink where they have shinny on Thursdays, and then they had the old TWHL league out there, and I picked up on that as well. So pretty much when I came here for my first tour, because of my 2-month tryout where I was emailing, and like I said, I found it on Google, or I emailed him and found him, the Flying Farang website and whatever the travel team is here. Found them that way, and that got me into communication. And then the rest I started playing and became addicted to it.
So the TWHL, just so those who don't know.
It's the Thai World Hockey League. It's the league before the SHL.
Okay.
The Thai World Hockey League was very similar to our league. It's an expat league. Some Thais did play in it. Not that many. We had some of the Thai national team players, and it was a semi to moderate mix of Thais, but mostly expats. The old Samrong rink, and when they built the new rink at Ramen 9 here in Bangkok, it moved to that rink, and it about 2 years ago, and the end of 2 years ago, it folded due to multiple reasons. But that was the old league. It was great, run by a couple of great guys, and that was the expat league here in Thailand.
Okay, it's interesting that you say it was the expat league, because I remember I was talking to a guy when I first came out here, and he was like, "Oh, I'm a hockey player." And I was like, "Oh, I used to be a hockey player." He said, "Yeah, you should come out and play with us." And I don't even, to be totally honest, I don't remember where it was at. It's probably the rink you were talking about, Samrong.
Samrong, yeah.
Yeah, and I never did, obviously. I know the expense of hockey equipment. And I was like, no, that's just I'm nowhere near to be able to do something like that. And then when I was getting my rollerblades, and it was something I had to decide is like, once we moved here, I was like, I found out there's an ice rink right down the road, which is Sub-Zero, and I went and I talked to a few guys there, and this guy, he's like, oh yeah, well there's 2 leagues. One of them is Thai only, and one of them is Farang only. And he didn't tell me anything other than that, and he didn't really want to talk about it. He just was like, here's your tape, goodbye. I was like, okay. And I don't even remember who it was. It was just like, okay. And then it was one of those decisions. Do I want to get rollerblades? Do I want to get ice skates? If I get ice skates, I'm going to want to play hockey. If I want to play hockey, that's just going to be a huge expense that I don't even want to get into. So I ended up buying rollerblades. But so you said the Thai World Hockey League and the TWHL, it was a combined league? There was Thai players in it?
Yeah, we had some. I mean, it's kind of similar to now the SHL. We have, a handful of them. All great. Not that we would like to have as many as we can, really. Yeah. In the old TWHL, we wanted to have a lot. It was just turned out to be more expats, and the Thais had their own thing going at the time. Now, in the last couple of years, the BIHL, the Bangkok Hockey League, has opened up, and I can't tell you how long they've been around, but I know it's only been a few years where expats have been kind of involved and invited, and I think the second or third year that they were in, that I'd heard about it, I got in to start playing with them also. Okay. So our league, the SHL, we're trying to get more Thais in. The BIHL, the Thai league, they're very, very good about allowing, not allowing, but getting, of course they're allowed, but getting more Farangs and foreigners into that league. So I think as we move forward, both are becoming more intermixed. So yeah, the Thai World Hockey League, we had some Thais, a handful of them, guys that we've been playing with for a while. The Tours and the Moos of the world, some good players have been playing with us for a very, very long time, and they're great guys. Some of the guys are from the Thai national team or the Thai national team program. Some are not. Some work at the rink. But more and more, that's probably our goal. I think both of our goals, the Thai side and our side, is get even more and more mixed and get us all playing together. It's been great. I played for the Flying Farang travel team as well, and every once in a while we'll do. A couple years ago, we had the Thais were going to go play the national team in some Asian tournament, and we played a warm-up game versus them. Our Flying Farang, kind of the all-star team, did a game against them to kind of get them ready for their tournament. So we do a lot with them. It's great. As the years since I've been here, probably 7-8 years now, the playing the Farang Thai relationship gets better and better. We're playing a lot better and more together.
That's great. That's great. So in the TIWHL, is that
TWHL.
Right? TWHL. Were you involved behind the scenes with them at all?
A little bit. When I first got here, I was a captain for 1 or 2 seasons. They had the 2 guys who ran it mostly. They asked for some assistance from some people, some disciplinary assistance. So we had kind of a committee that would come together and give our 2 cents on a few things, maybe some suspension things. It wasn't really official, as we are a little more official now as far as specific committee, specific constitution. We really have more things in place, which is one of the things we actually learned from the TWHL. We wanted to have more stuff, more things, more rules, really documented, written down, signed. Not that it was a problem before, because they were working through some issues, but I think one of the issues before was you didn't have this, this official word. We're going to put it in writing. Sometimes it was kind of loosey-goosey, for lack of a better term. So I was assisting. We have a few meetings on, hey, this person did this, what should we do? And they brought together a few people. I don't know, as I was an FBI agent and I had this disciplinary mind, or I just answered the phone. I don't know why they called me, but it was we were good friends, and I think a few of us had the ability to kind of have cooler heads and say, hey, this is how we should handle it. But I wasn't the president. I wasn't involved in scheduling. I did a few meetings and helped out when I could, and I was a captain for a couple of seasons. Okay.
And are you involved at all? Excuse me. Are you involved at all behind the scenes with the BIHL?
No. I played for last year for the Thunder team, and our captain tour. He asked me to play a couple of seasons ago, so that's one where I'm really happy because now with the SHL I'm involved. TWHL, I had this involvement. Really fun for me sometimes to show up and just play. Yeah, and that's my favorite part about the BIHL is I show up, put my gear on, I'm just on the team, and I love that. Because I do. I mean, for the Flying Farang travel team, there's a couple tournaments every year. And the last few years, I've just found myself being a captain of one of the teams, and I'm in charge of logistics and emails, and it's fine. But it's probably my own fault. I need to say no more. But for the BIHL, it's for me, I just get to show up and play.
Okay. So I've heard a few different stories about what happened with the TWHL. Some say it folded. Some just said they decided to take a break. I mean, do you know what happened?
Yeah, and I know what happened. It folded. I mean, it was. I wouldn't say I was taking a break. I mean, I don't remember people saying we'll come back. There probably was a discussion like this can't go away forever. So the thought was it'll come back. But no, I think it was just you had some of the folks that running it real busy, not the time to do it. Our last season of the TWHL, you'll hear lots of stories, and I'll give you my opinion.
Okay.
My opinion of the last season was people just stopped having fun.
Okay.
And it's not anybody's fault, not any one person's fault. There are numerous things you can point to. There was an issue, things that we tried to fix with the new league. There was probably a competitiveness issue where one or two teams were much more powerful than the other two teams and much stronger, and the teams that were losing weren't happy. You had a few, like in any hockey league you've probably been in, adult hockey league, you had a few personality issues.
Yeah, you have that in any level.
In any level, any sports team, any sports. But I think that this is a league that was probably having issues as far as the people running it were a little busy. Not their fault, but they have other jobs, and they weren't able to put 100% effort. And you had kind of that little weakness, the little scab, and you pick the scab when it comes to having maybe some games that aren't competitive. You're having a lot of people upset, some arguments, and I believe that just was the beginning of the end. It was it was unsolvable, it was unfixable. Everyone tried. It was run so well for so long. In defense of the folks that ran it, they really needed some assistance, and we just didn't have enough guys step up to help and make it work. And then I think you had, like I said, and then on top of all that, I believe all that's fixable. When you had a last season where people just weren't having fun for whatever reason.
I mean, that can kill anything.
Then it ended. So it ended, and then I knew was no way. It was a handful of us and knew that can't last.
Right.
I can't tell you the day that we decided this, but I know it was Christian Olofsson, myself, Scott Murray, and then a little bit of Rob Taylor as well, who's involved. Who we all kind of had these separate discussions of what are we going to do. And we've been shut down for a few months. I mean, the league was out. I think we were really into when the league wasn't going to work. We were kind of, I forgot when it ended, but it was a situation where either there was a holiday coming up but we definitely had the next hockey coming up was one of these two tournaments in Bangkok. So our minds were on the tournament, and we said, okay, once that ended, we said that we gotta get something going. So a few of us spoke and said, let's begin something. And it was a long process. I mean, it was emails and meetings. How are we going to do this? And I think the few of us that were involved said, okay, if we're going to do this, the goal of the new league is, number one goal of the league is that it lasts. That's it. Hockey, expat hockey in Thailand can't go away again. That's it. This has to be. So, how's that going to work? When you have a bunch of personalities last time around, maybe causing a problem, maybe this is once again my law enforcement background. I said, look, we're going to begin this, and it's going to be our way or the highway.
Well,
it's not going to be a democracy.
You kind of need to, especially in the beginning.
Yep.
And to be honest, from my experience in doing a few things like this, it's like, even as it gets later on, it still kind of has to be, look, yes, there's a democracy here, but this is what needs to be done.
Right. Well, definitely to begin, to get it started and to decide, okay, how many teams we want to have and how are we going to work on making it fair. And a big issue, I'm not sure you've discussed it in the past, but a big issue that comes up in these kind of leagues, when you only have one league where the talent level goes from former semi-pro and college players to people that have picked up the game recently, the problem you have is a talent level problem. When most men's leagues in the U.S. or Canada, you have an A division, a B division, a C. It's easy. You're good, you play A. You're not, you play D. Whatever. We have one league here. So how do you do a league where you're going to have phenomenal players and bad players? That's what's I believe is one of the hardest things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in anything that I've been involved in, there has absolutely been like an A level, a B level, a C level, and a rec level. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, that's why I grew up and I played men's hockey before I moved to Thailand. It's a benefit that you don't realize is a benefit to go somewhere. You don't have the ability to tell somebody, look, you aren't that good yet, go play B or C. When there isn't a B or C, what do you tell that person? It feels terrible saying it, and I'm sure if people who followed the SHL this year, you've seen that we had a draft, and some people who wanted to play weren't picked, and that was by far, to this day, still the one part that bothers us, but we believe to get this league started and to work, we have to make the first or couple of seasons competitive enough where you're going to keep the good guys who want to play, and the other ones, our lowest end players are still experienced hockey players for the most part. We have a couple here and there that are there, but we have a pretty experienced league. That's our big issue. The second big issue is this isn't professional hockey, so people have jobs. So some people can't play every week. So you put in subs. The sub issue became an issue for us as well. In the old TWHL, the way we dealt with subs was tough. Sometimes you'd have, my team is pretty even with your team, but then one of your players isn't there, and you pull a substitute who's phenomenal. And that sub changed the game. Yeah. So it's unfair. It's unfair if we're equal teams, but you're missing a guy who's halfway decent, and you bring in a semi-pro guy who didn't want to play full-time, but he's available. We have a few guys in Bangkok who can't play full-time. Yeah. And they're subs. Some are really good. So how do you deal with that? And that was also an issue we dealt with this new league where we have Scotty Murray as the sub guy. And it's no longer you come in and say, hey, we're going to grab, the captain says we're going to grab that guy. No. You tell us, how many players do you need? You need 2. We'll tell you who you're going to get. Okay. So we have the experience. Scott's been here a long time. He knows every player who plays here. We have the expert deciding who can play for who. And these are little things but
they can make a huge difference.
Well, for our league, it's everything. Yeah. There are little things that if someone's listening from the outside saying, it's just hockey, what do you mean?
But it's not.
It's not. And that's if you want the league to be competitive and you want the league to be people to enjoy themselves. It's not easy. Right. When you're working, you have a family and all these things to get up and fight the Bangkok traffic or go on the metro or the subway and take your gear and go at night. People have to want to go to games and play. Yeah. And we wanted to make hockey fun and competitive. And all those things we're doing for this, we believe we're doing. Yeah. The first few weeks, before the winter break, I think you'd ask most people, and people are loving it.
It looks like it. I mean, I'm enjoying going to the games and watching.
Well, you're one of the reasons people are enjoying it too. I mean, what we've done this year is we wanted to make it competitive, we wanted to make it fun, and we really wanted to get the social media aspect going. We want the SHL to be out there. It is the only, there's only a couple of hockey leagues in the whole country. We want to take pride in saying that. Maybe the BIHL, maybe the SHL, but those are the 2 best leagues in Thailand for hockey. And saying that in Canada, NHL, but to say you're one of the best leagues in a country, it's pretty cool for us.
Absolutely.
And we want to make sure that when people from other countries Google hockey or they want to go to tournaments or looking to buy a jersey from a different country, our name's going to come up, and we want to show them we have a good product. Yeah. And I think that in the old TWHL, we were able to get our name in the Bangkok Post. We had a relationship where we were able to get we had articles. I still have a couple cutouts in the Bangkok Post. It was fun to see it in there. We wanted to bring that back as well. So having your podcast, having you do the interviews of the player of the game, getting our Facebook page to be more modern, getting we're getting our hopefully going to get us in magazines here, a couple magazine opportunities here. Okay. Our goal is to spread it out there and show people the ability for us to get Hooters and Titanium and Sport Corner, and to have a couple of our players who own companies sponsor. The sponsorship was, to go back to getting the league off the ground. Sponsorship's everything.
Oh, absolutely.
And so getting some real names. I mean, Hooters and Titanium are good bar. Sport Corner, great bar. Getting them to sponsor us really, really puts us on the map, and that's what we're looking for in the future is getting more sponsorship from maybe some bigger names here and big names here in Bangkok.
Okay. Well, how was it decided that you would be the president of the league?
That's a good question. It was kind of decided for me. It was my belief is that the president really has no power. He's just kind of the overseer, and everyone else who's actually good at their jobs does other things. So I think they just put me up there to say the president, and we'll do all the hard work and the tough stuff, because Christian and Scott and Pratch and other guys who are in our group, and Alistair, our treasurer, and Alex Manton, our admin guy, they're all good at stuff. I'm just a pretty face. So I think that we were talking, I think the main players, me, Christian, and Scotty, and they just said, hey, we want you to be the president. And I said I would. Of course I will. But I mean, there's no question. All three of us are presidents. All three of us are vice presidents, and all three of us are kind of the secretary of the group.
Okay.
There's no question. All three of us began this from scratch. I'm honored they wanted me to do it. I think that Scott was sitting next to me now. We'd agree that I'm more of the heavy hand. He's the nice guy. I think he wanted to have more of a heavy hand, being the president, to make these decisions, and I'm able to say, hey, we're going to do this, and this isn't really up for negotiation. There's no ambiguity on this. This is how we're going to move forward. And, on the drafting where we had to cut people, that was an issue we had to deal with as far as making sure people are paying up on time, as far as what rules we're going to go with, how we're going to treat the referees. A lot of these things are going to be, they're debatable and negotiable when it comes to leagues, and we just couldn't get this first league going.
Yeah.
We consistently said, I think we said this in the draft, which you covered, there really isn't going to be negotiation. It's going to be, we're going to say this is how it's going to be, and that's how it is. And the selfishness comes in when I say, look, a few of us did this. If we do it our way and the league folds in a couple of seasons or even after one season,
right,
and you are sitting there as a player and you want to begin your own league, have at it. No problem with that at all. But right now we're going to try it our way, and we hope it's going to work.
Okay. So one of the things I found that was really, really interesting was the fact that you had a draft. Instead of having players make their own teams, you had a draft.
Yeah, that's one of the differences between
Keep talking.
One of the differences between us and the BIHL, and it's not a knock on any league. The BIHL is a league where teams come together and they then put themselves into the league. So you have a team, you tell the head of the league, our team's Thunder, our team's Warriors, and we're going to put our team in. There is no question about talent, which if you follow the BIHL, you'll see they're the haves and the have-nots. Very similar to the Premier League in soccer, where the top teams always do well and the bottom teams, except for last year when Leicester won. That was an anomaly. But you have the haves and the have-nots. I think that because we only are going to have 4 teams to start, and we've always done it this way, I think the Canadian, American, maybe European way is to have parity. Okay. We want to have even games. We don't want to have 10-0 games.
Absolutely.
The BIHL does a phenomenal job, in my opinion, now of after the first part of the season, they reconfigure the division. So for the first few games, there may be some blowouts, but then the better teams go to A and there's B and C. So they do a good job. But when you have 12, 15, 20 teams, you can do that.
Right.
So we want to have a parity. Now, when I first moved here in 2008, it was awesome. We had a draft. We went to the old restaurant now. It's gone now, called the Pelican Inn over on Soy 22, and we did a live draft. They put the people on the wall. People went up to the podium and they called it out, and it was a party. It was phenomenal. We went away from that, so we still would do a draft behind closed doors. They would have the captains pick to make it even. One of the things when we brought the SHL back, we said, what are some of the things we missed? And having a live draft is one of them. The turnout we had, you were there, wasn't we really hoped for. I don't think a lot of the guys who are playing were around years ago for their old draft. I think what we're going to do next year is we'll try and make it even better, maybe trying to find a bar, maybe have some food deals and get guys show up, because the draft can really be fun.
Yeah.
We do the draft, and our goal is to make parity. We want even games. When you only have 4 teams, if one team's too good, one team's too bad, it's gonna ruin the league.
Yeah.
I mean, for those 13 guys, every game's gonna stink. And not just if you're the bad team.
Oh no!
If you go out there and you're winning all your games 10-0, that isn't fun either.
No, absolutely.
So that's why we do a draft and make it even.
So, what made you decide to do it behind closed doors this time?
Well, we didn't. Well, we did a live draft, but the concern we have to do it because we announced it, obviously. The concern you have with doing a live draft where you can't control it to start, especially for the first season, is you still have the opportunity to have uneven teams. So we decided how we did it was we wanted to bring the captains into it. We didn't want to just have a couple of us, behind closed doors doing it. We brought the captains in, and we had all the 7 members of our committee, so 11 total people, and we had all of them before the draft, the behind closed door draft. Everyone ranked every player as best they knew. Okay. Then we came and we sat down, and then we said, okay, let's figure this out. And it was more of a draft than you think, because it was, okay, who'd everyone pick first? This guy. Okay, so then we divided the teams up via draft, then we picked the captains kind of out of a hat.
Okay.
So the teams were made, with our rankings, and then each of the 4 captains were given a team out of a hat. So that was the best way to do it. I'm hoping for 20 more seasons of the SHL, but I'm hoping maybe the second, maybe the third season, if there's more consistency, people know players better and everything, maybe we can do a live draft with no behind the scenes beforehand, and truly do no one knows who you're going to pick, and you pick them on your own. Would be maybe a long-term goal, would be to have an actual draft and do it at, I know I've never seen it live, or I've heard about the Hong Kong Expat League. They get a hotel ballroom.
Oh, really?
I mean, they do a whole night. It looks great. That's kind of one of our goals, and maybe local, like Hong Kong is kind of we look at the Hong Kong and Asian expat hockey would be kind of the gold standard on a lot of things they do, and that they do have a guy dressed up like Don Cherry. They do a really cool thing. So, we're a first-year league, so that'd be a kind of a long-term goal.
Okay. That sounds like it would be a lot of fun.
And you'd cover it, of course. Maybe live.
That would be great if I'm still here. Absolutely. I mean, our plan is not to leave anytime soon. So
good.
How did you come up with? I mean, I talked to Christian a little bit about this, but how did you decide who the captains were going to be?
It's a tough one. I mean, you want to get people that are talented hockey players, because they're going to be the captains and they want to know the game. And in the last, maybe the year before the league started, there was a few people that have kind of stepped up as leaders for hockey in the Bangkok expat hockey community. In the past, there are some people that have been around for a long time that have been captains. We wanted to get a little bit of fresh blood. Of the 4 captains we have now, Brad and Patrick and Justin, and I'm missing one, my captain, Zach. Awesome. Love that one. They haven't been around for 10 years. They haven't been around for too long a time. A few are really new.
I think Patrick's only been here like less than a year.
Patrick's pretty new. Brad's pretty new. Justin's pretty new also. Zach, I think's maybe been around the longest. But either way, they have not been part of Bangkok hockey for way long. They've been pretty new. And they're all great guys. That's the most important part, really, is you want to have just guys who everyone gets along with them. You're going to have different personalities. All 4 of those guys are absolutely low-key, even-keeled.
There's no hard asses in the group.
No, there's no hard asses.
That's saved for you?
It's that's right. No, I mean, I would argue in the past some of the captains have been, maybe me included. But no, I think it's a combination of the even-keel attitude and also the fresh blood, the newer guys, and it wasn't a long decision. I mean, it was. I think we asked a couple other guys who weren't going to be around who said no. Also, but these were probably out of our top 6 picks. These 4 guys were 4 of our top 6 guys we wanted, and they all were honored to do it, which is good.
Okay, yeah, that's always good when you get people like that. You have 4 teams, but I noticed with the subs, or from what I've heard, with the I don't know if you heard it or not, but at the end of the video, there were these 3 pops, and then there was this giant explosion, and the lights went out, and the audio cut out here in the studio. A branch fell onto the transformer right around the corner here, and it caused the transformer to explode. Now, unfortunately, we couldn't have somebody out here to fix it before John had to go. But don't worry. John is definitely going to come back on the show. He's really excited. He wants to finish that interview. And then there's just so much more that we want to talk about. So I want you to always remember to support your local organizations, be it sports or any other activity. Go out there, and if it's sports, go out and watch them, cheer on the local teams. If it's other types of activities, help fund them and do whatever you can to support them, if it's telling people about them or whatever. All right, thanks a lot. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. It's time for SHL News. So we just finished off Week 5. In our first game this week, we had the Sukhumvit Spitfires versus Ziaware. The Sukhumvit Spitfires came into the game desperate for a win. They had a strong showing in Week 4 against Hooters Nana, but just couldn't pull off the win in the end, which made it their 3rd loss in a row. The Sukhumvit Spitfires have been struggling to put a team on the ice, and losing one of their top players in Jeff McIntyre after the first week to an injury has made it really difficult for them. During the holiday break, the Sukhumvit Spitfires acquired Donnie Kerfoot to replace Jeff. Aware came into this game with a hard-fought loss to Sports Corner Titanium right before the break. But in their third game of the season, they shut out the Sukhumvit Spitfires, and they were looking for another strong showing against them. The first period saw the Spitfires get on the board early at 16-10 with a goal from Scott Murray, which was assisted by Dave McBurney. Aware answered back at 14-15 with an unassisted goal from Devin Michael. The Spitfires scored 2 more goals in the first period. The second came at 11-10 by Obe, which was assisted by David Bohr. And the third was an unassisted goal at 8 minutes by Donnie Kerfoot. Aware got their second goal with 1:30 left in the first period coming from Darren Boodle, which was assisted by Devin Michael. Aware tied it up in the second period at 6:30, with Darren scoring his second goal, which was assisted by Patrick Lundbeck. In the third period, Donnie scored his second unassisted goal of the night, and Darren scored, making it a hat-trick with a tip-in off a shot from Rob Taylor to force the first 5-minute 3-on-3 overtime. Dave Bohr scored the game winner with 2 minutes left in overtime, with the assist coming from Donnie, getting the much-needed win for the Sukhumvit Spitfires. The Rolling Stone player of the game was Donnie Kerfoot, and I had a chance to catch up with him after the game. I have the Rolling Stone player of the game, Donnie from the Sukhumvit Spitfires. It's about time you guys win one. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. We battled hard out there today and got up a couple and then tied it up. I think we might have been down at one point, and we just kept on battling and just came through in the end.
Excellent. So what's the plan for the next game?
Just keep working hard and make sure we got our feet moving and moving the puck. Heads up, keep moving. That's my motto. Heads up and feet moving.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thanks, Tom.
Our second game of the night was Hooters Nana facing off against Sports Corner Titanium. Hooters Nana entered this week on a hot streak, winning their last 2 games. They scored their first win against Sports Corner Titanium in Week 3 with a score of 7-5. They scored their second win in a hard-fought win against the Sukhumvit Spitfires in Week 4 with a score of 4-3, just holding off the Spitfires at the end. Sports Corner Titanium came into this week with a 3-1 record, with their only loss coming at the hands of Hooters Nana. Sports Corner Titanium were looking to avenge their only loss of the season this week and scoring a win over Hooters Nana. Sports Corner Titanium started things off with a goal at 10:30 by John Silky Mitts Schachnovsky, which was assisted by Dougal Monk and Pratch. Hooters Nana answered back with 2:55 left in the period with a goal from Michael White, which was assisted by Stephen Sproul and Andy Bryan. Hooters Nana take the lead with less than a minute left in the first period with a goal from Paul Stoddard, also assisted by Andy Bryan. Hooters Nana widened their lead with a goal at 15:15 in the second period with the second goal from Michael, assisted by Justin St. Denis. With 2 minutes left in the game, Sports Corner Titanium tried making a comeback with Mike Wilson scoring a goal, with the assist coming from John Silky Mitts Schachnovsky. Sports Corner Titanium decided to pull Gabor Toth to give themselves an extra attacker and try and tie it and push the game into overtime. With 58 seconds left in the game, La steals the puck and pushes it home to seal the win, and to expand their winning streak and to continue being the only team to beat Sports Corner Titanium so far this year. Dream of Hooters Nana had a great returning game with only allowing 2 goals out of 19 shots and scoring the Rolling Stone player of the game. We have the player of the game, Dream from Hooters Nana. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so you guys got 2 games against the Sports Corner Titanium. What's going on?
Yeah, that's nice, but that's the last game I did not play because I have a injury and have another one play for me.
Okay.
Yeah, the nice one. That's a very nice game. I heard from my teammate that they play very well and have a good score.
Okay. Excellent. Well, congratulations. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
There have been 2 rule changes coming back from the holiday break. There is now hybrid icing. This means if an offending team player is able to win the foot race, icing will be waived off. But if the defending team wins the foot race, the play will be blown dead. The official wording is, for the purpose of interpretation of the rule, there are 2 judgments required for icing the puck. The linesman must first determine that the puck will cross the goal line. The race to the end zone faceoff dot will be the new race for the puck. The second rule change was adding a 3-on-3 overtime 4-minute period. In the event of a game ending in a tie after regulation, we will begin playing 3-on-3 overtime. The procedure will be that there will be no break after regulation and begin 4 minutes of 3-on-3. If still tied, we will commence immediately with a shootout. The shootout will begin in a sudden death format from the start. The first round where one team scores and the other misses, and the game is over. There will be no Oshie rule. This means every dressed player will be required to shoot before one player can attempt his second shot. Going into Week 6, our first game is Aware facing off against Hooters Nana. Aware will be looking to break their losing streak with a win against Hooters. To do this, Aware will need a strong game from Devin Michael and Darren Boodle, as well as top-notch goaltending from their goaltender Eves. Hooters Nana will be looking to continue their 3-game win streak by avenging their 7-2 shellacking loss from the Aware. Hooters Nana will need Dream to remain strong between the pipes next week, as well as a big game from their point leaders Justin, Paul, and Steven. Our second game of the night will be Sport Corner Titanium facing off against the Sukhumvit Spitfires. The Sport Corner Titanium will be looking to make up for their loss against the Hooters Nana by keeping their win streak against Sukhumvit Spitfires going. To do that, Gabor will need to be on his game to be able to stop the quality point makers on Sukhumvit Spitfires. Also, Sports Corner Titanium will need their top goal scorer, John Silky Mitts Schachnovsky, on form to keep up his goal-scoring streak. The Sukhumvit Spitfires will be looking to capitalize on breaking their losing streak and building on this week's win. To do this, their top goal scorer, Adrian Myers, is going to need to get back to putting the puck in the net. But with his defensive partner he has in Donnie, that shouldn't be too hard. Depending on who the Spitfires put in the net, either Lance Parker or Jason Kotzmeyer, they're going to need to bring their A-game to stop the league's top goal scorers, John Silky Mitts Schachnovsky, and their strong playmakers, Yoni Heinonen and Zach Garofolo. That's all for this week, and I'll see you at the rink. Please rate my show or leave a comment or make suggestions of what you would like me to talk about. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Dom Dumas, on Twitter at Dom Dumas, or on Instagram, Dom_Dumas. Thanks a lot.